Legends of Wasteland City is a post-apocalyptic anthology series and may contain references to drugs, sex, and violence, along with the occasional vulgarity. You've been warned. Underfoot from the Farlanders. The crowd that had gathered in the courtyard of the fuel depot called out in rage as the prisoner was brought out to the elevated platform. The prisoner was bedraggled, his hands bound behind him. He was weeping for his life as the armed attendants placed him on his knees by the block at the Warlord's feet. Bridger looked down at the broken man as the angry mob below surged with anger. Bridger spoke down to the prisoner.
Do you hear them? They call for your death, Underfoot.
Underfoot looked up, his face bruised and caked in dried blood. He didn't dare speak before the Warlord, resplendent in the vestments of his office. Bridger smiled.
It's all right, Underfoot. On this platform, in these moments together, we are equals, you and I. I'm the only one that can hear you up here. You may speak.
Underfoot hesitated before he spoke.
Are you gonna kill me, Farlander?
They would have that.
The Farlander warlord gestured to the roaring throng below.
They would tear you to pieces without hesitation. I thought we might have some conversation instead.
Underfoot's face belied his confused state.
You have been accused of hoarding water and holding back your due. But I understand the thinking of an ambitious man like you, Underfoot. You mean to hoard for you and yours, and with enough water of your own, you can make something of yourself and your people, right? I can sympathize with that.
Bridger's expression was one of understanding. Underfoot blinked hard, not knowing how to respond.
And those animals you thieved from your neighbor's turf? I imagine those were taken to feed your lot.
Underfoot hesitantly nodded to the affirmative. He shook all over as the crowd raged from below. Bridger smiled.
See, there we are. Now we're getting somewhere. You're a man who's willing to do whatever it takes to provide for you and yours, right? A man of cunning and ambition. I can appreciate an ambitious man.
Underfoot nodded again.
Yes, sir.
And when you and your boys rolled down to Manfist in your makeshift war rods and took those supplies from the warehouse?
We was just looking to have enough food and fuel for the winter, my lord.
Underfoot straightened, shifted, feeling more confident in being understood.
Of course you were.
Bridger said with a wink.
And maybe even looking to expand your territory a little. I know the mind of an ambitious man like you, Underfoot. You don't get to be a warlord without the understanding of a few things.
That's why I did them things they accused me of, my lord.
Underfoot showed a broken, toothless grin.
I'm ambitious and looking to protect me and mine.
There we have it, the truth.
Bridger kneeled so that he and Underfoot were on the same level, nearly face to face.
The truth will get you a long way with me, Underfoot.
I wouldn't tell you no lies, sir.
Ambition, cunning, turf building, and the protection of your kin. Noble men, empire-building men must be willing to take the reins and forge a future for their people.
Bridger leaned in close where he was almost nose to nose with the prisoner. He placed his gloved hand on Underfoot's bloodied cheek, and his tone grew grim and serious.
So now, Underfoot, tell me what you did with that girl, and I will show you the mercy that the crowd down there won't.
She wandered onto our turf.
Bridger grabbed a fistful of his hair and yanked his head back.
That's not an excuse for what you did. Where is she? I would know it.
I didn't do nothing to her.
Bridger nearly pulled the hair out at the root.
That will be of little consolation for your clan. My Farlanders will descend on them like the fist of an angry god and burn them from their hovels for your crime.
Bridger, his eyes wild with rage, spat in Underfoot's face.
Where is the girl? I would know it.
Underfoot screamed out for mercy, his head tilted toward the sky.
Please! I cut her up, and I threw her down in the pit when I was done. The pit near the gorge to the south of my property. Please!
Satisfied with the answer, Bridger stood and released Underfoot's scalp.
I knew you would be reasonable, Underfoot. You have purchased the continued safety of your kin. Your people will carry on in your territory tonight. And you have earned my mercy. The mob will not have you.
Underfoot was relieved. He glanced downward toward the fiery mass of people in the courtyard as they screamed and clawed at him. The mob was thirsty for his blood. When his eyes found their way back to the Warlord, Bridger had a great cleaver in his hands. He raised the mighty axe over Underfoot's neck.
The crowd will not have you today, Underfoot. Justice shall be mine!
The axe fell swiftly, and Underfoot's blood sprayed down to the courtyard below. The crowd was covered in the gore of the one who had done them ill, and they were satisfied.
Underfoot was written by Bridger Farlander and directed and narrated by me, Mike Makeshift Darling. Bridger was played by himself, and Underfoot was played by Makeshift. Legends of Wasteland City is a production of the Apocalypse Post and Studio Ruckus, and is sponsored by the Love Bombs and backed by our many Patreon supporters, including Catherine D., Chisel Plow, and Christina Jeglin. You too can support Legends of Wasteland City by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/theapocalypsepost. And thanks for tuning in.
The Love Bombs provide top-notch outcomes for the most discriminating clients all across the Wasteland. When you need executive escort and protection, intelligence analysis, direct action, or other specialized solutions, the Love Bombs provide a bespoke option tailored directly to your needs. Listen to this heartfelt testimonial from one of the Love Bombs' satisfied clients.
I heard the Love Bombs had saved my precious Pookie Pie from them there scabs over yonder. They was fixing to turn his poor hide into jerky. Woo! Whew! I reckon not a one of those bastards will walk away from this scuffle.
Because it's on the body part.
Goodness gracious, I reckon I ain't ever seen a gun that big. The Love Bombs will give your enemies a licking they won't soon forget.
Yes, the Love Bombs. They're polite, professional, and have a plan to kill everyone they meet. The Love Bombs provide complete confidentiality in their free initial consultation. That's right, the initial consultation is absolutely free. Remember, the Love Bombs. Artillery available.
Hey Survivors, Makeshift here. I don't have a whole lot to talk about on this episode, but here we are. I hope you enjoyed the first ever Farlanders episode of Legends of Wasteland City. I do have several of these kind of shorter stories from them, kind of like vignettes that help to paint the Farlanders' history. And of course, if you're a Wasteland Weekend attendee, in the past or in the future, you will recognize the Farlanders. They have a very prominent spot on Main Street in Wasteland City now. They are a heavy lore tribe. They are wonderful storytellers. A group of them, well, the Farlanders that I'm the closest to, Bridger and Adept, live a little bit north of Nashville, which is where I used to live. So we hung out quite a bit And they come out of like the historical reenacting world. That's how they ended up at Wasteland. And I think they actually enjoy Wasteland better because it does provide a certain level of freedom compared to historical reenactment, where they say if they wore the wrong buttons or if the sewing technique was from the wrong decade, people would be calling them out on that, which I understand. It's historical reenactment. But yeah, so they're really great storytellers. And then the rest of the tribe have their specialties too. They got a couple of black thumbs in the tribe. Yeah, they put together a really nice camp, even though they have to fly in, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, we've got a few more of these stories that'll be coming from them that I'll be spreading out and kind of mixing in here and there. It was honestly really nice to work on a shorter story because mine have been getting a little bit longer and longer. So being able to do this under 10-minute episode was definitely a nice little break, but still just as fun. Because for me, this story of Underfoot still has a bit of a beginning, middle, and end. Even though it's a short scene, we kind of get painted a full picture when we listen to this story, and it goes to show just how hard it is to be, a warlord leader in a wasteland tribe. Anyway, I got more stories coming, and of course, there's always lots of episodes of the Apocalypse Post coming out, so make sure you're subscribed to both Legends of Wasteland City and the Apocalypse Post. And of course, if you're subscribed to the Apocalypse Post, you've noticed that I've still been dropping Legends episodes there. I just figure, if that's the way you want to listen, then I'll put them there. Plus, it helps me to make sure I'm uploading something from time to time. Anyway, the Patch of the Month Club is still going. When you're hearing this, if you have not signed up yet, you just missed out on the Fuck It, Let's Eat the Bastards patch from the Dead Raider Jerky Company, which is a tribe that got invented kind of early on for some fake commercials here on the show. And next month, there is going to be the Buzzards Care patch. That's the Chems Abuse Resistance Education, kind of playing on the old DARE program, which they said didn't work. Isn't that weird? They said the DARE program actually got more kids to try more drugs, but it definitely worked on me. For the longest time, I was like, I'm not doing anything, 'cause drugs are bad. And then you find out that some of them aren't so bad. And then they go ahead and just start legalizing some of them. So you're like, okay, what's the truth here anymore? I don't even know. Anyway, kids, drugs are bad. Don't do drugs until you're an adult. And then experiment responsibly, because there's a lot worse things you could do. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I don't want to be a bad influence, but, as you kind of come around to the world and educate yourself on things, some things aren't as bad as they paint it out to be. So maybe the DARE program didn't work, but for the wrong reason. Anyway, the Buzzards, they've got the CARE program, the Chems Abuse Resistance Education, and the reason they do that is because the Buzzards are the premier, the foremost, the best, chems dealer in the wastes. They've got some really good product, mostly doing Fallout-inspired chems, which is really fun. They've even got they always have a bunch of the jet style inhalers from Fallout, which is really fun. And of course, they don't want you, just buying your chems from any dealer in the waste, because that's their competition. So the CARE program is ensuring that all bad chems, quote unquote bad chems, which basically means competitor chems, are out of these dusty streets, so that you can only have access to the good Buzzards chems. Anyway, the CARE patch was designed partially by the Buzzards, partially by myself, with a lot of help from Sam Bell to get the art right. So this is one of those true Wasteland collaboration art pieces. And if you want one in the mailbox next month, all you gotta do is sign up on my Patreon, patreon.com/theapocalypsepost. Sign up at the $10 tier or above, and you will have to enter in your address, and you will get one of the patches in the mail. And then if you stay signed up, you'll get a new, original, sometimes, mostly, exclusive patch from the Apocalypse Post every month. So it's been a really great program. A lot of people have taken advantage of it. I really enjoy it. And it helps people to feel like not only are they supporting this channel, but they're also getting a little something back too. So really fun stuff. What else? I guess that's about it. I don't have a whole lot to talk about this week. I just got back from the Metropolis a week ago, not even, a few days ago. And I'm still recovering, trying to catch up. So I want to get this episode out of the way and upload it so you can listen to it so I can start working on the next things. And that's about it. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend. If you hated it, share it with an enemy. And I guess lop off their head in front of a screaming crowd that are all out for blood. Because it's the waste. Alright, that's it. I'll see you next time, survivors. Stay alive.